it was like the invasion of the body snatchers last night.
Are you surprised?
No, I'm not. But I mean, everybody, she's not the only one. They're all up there kissing the ring of dear leader.
It's not the ring they're kissing.
Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and Sunny Hostin on The View were shocked, surprised, and maybe upset that Nikki Haley, after fighting against Donald Trump for so long, endorsed him at the RNC. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
So the most anticipated speaker at last night's RNC was Nikki Haley, who was one of the Republican nominee's most vocal critics when she challenged him during the primaries. Take a look.
Chaos follows him.
He's gotten more unstable and unhinged.
And he's just toxic.
He's not qualified to be the president of the United States.
He is more diminished than he was, just like Joe Biden's more diminished than what he was. There is no way that the American people are going to vote for a convicted criminal. They're not.
But she had a big change of heart when she took the stage last night. Take a look.
President Trump asked me to speak to this convention in the name of unity. I'll start by making one thing perfectly clear. Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period. If we have 4 more years of Biden or a single day of Harris, our country will be badly worse off. You don't have to agree with Trump 100% of the time to vote for him. Take it from me. I haven't always agreed with President Trump. But we agree more often than we disagree.
Pathetic. So disheartening.
She waged an effective campaign in the primaries, took a decent chunk of voters with her. So now, what are her people supposed to think about what's going on here?
She's a big...
I think her people are supposed to think this is politics, whether people like it or not. You know, I have to wonder, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, did they just start paying attention to politics yesterday? This is how it always is. Look at what the Democratic Party did to Bernie Sanders in 2020. He won the first 3 states. They didn't want Bernie to get it. Obama had all of the other candidates drop out so that Joe Biden could get it. And then even though they put the thumb on the scale to make sure that Bernie Sanders wouldn't get the nomination, then Bernie endorsed Joe Biden. Did the same thing with Hillary Clinton. Bernie endorsed Hillary Clinton. And now we're seeing this in the Republican Party. Ted Cruz. Donald Trump said his wife was ugly and that his dad had assassinated JFK. Ted Cruz is one of the biggest supporters of Donald Trump now. J.D. Vance, we've all heard all the things that he said about Donald Trump, viciously attacked Donald Trump. Now he's his vice presidential candidate. This is just how politics work. Now, this is one of the reasons that people hate politics and politicians so much. Most Americans feel like our politicians on both sides are dishonest, but for Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg and Sunny Hostin to act like they're shocked about this is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Disappointment. I mean, because now she's giving permission to her people to vote for him. And they might have stayed home and voted for Biden. Who knows what they would have done. But it was like the invasion of the body snatchers last night.
Are you surprised?
No, I'm not. But I mean, everybody, she's not the only one. They're all up there kissing the ring of dear leader.
It's not the ring they're kissing.
They all, though, Joy said, most of them, except I think for Chris Christie, that they would get behind Donald Trump if he were the nominee. And they are sticking to their word. They're getting in line. They're circling their wagons. I mean,
so just say what Cruz doesn't care. They said his wife was ugly.
They only care about...
Yeah, Joy Behar brings up the thing about Ted Cruz. Donald Trump said his wife was ugly. That was several years ago. Ted Cruz has been a massive supporter ever since. Now, any normal person, if they worked with somebody who said their wife was ugly, they would hate that person for the rest of their life. Any person with any kind of morals or decency, but these are politicians that we're talking about. This is what they do. They'd sell out their own grandmother if they could get ahead. Both parties. It's not just the Republicans as they're going to make out here on The View. It's the Democrats too. They all do this.
Yeah.
power. They care about their party and power before their country. And that is very, very clear.
You know what I think? I think they're addicted to their power. It's an addiction. Do you have an addiction? I have an addiction to Scrabble, okay?
She does.
And I really do. And I understand an addiction from that point of view. You don't want to give it up. And they're addicted. Yeah. They should have term limits. They should not be there forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Now, I would 100% agree with Joy Behar here. They're addicted to power, and we should have term limits, and we should have age limits. We shouldn't have people well into their 70s and 80s running our country, whether it's president or in the Congress. Biden's too old, Trump is too old, and we have a Congress full of people that are too old to be running the country. So I totally agree with Joy Behar on this.
Because they are addicted.
But think about it. I mean, they have such an imperfect candidate. You have someone that was impeached twice, not once. You have someone who was convicted of 34 felony counts. You have someone found liable for sexual abuse, ordered to pay $355 million for lying about his wealth in a New York civil fraud case. And they are all getting behind that kind of candidate. That's all you need to know about the Republican Party. Well, that's all you need to know.
Listen, it's increasingly lonely on my little island as a conservative in exile who doesn't really recognize this current Republican Party. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump is, I believe, a historically unfit candidate. There's nobody that's got this resume that he does of the 34 felony counts and so on. But I think we have a big problem in this country of just rabid party loyalty over country. And like this came out just last night that Congressman Adam Schiff, who's running for Senate in California, very likely going to win that seat, on a private call is saying, I think if Biden is our nominee, I think we lose. We very well will lose the Senate and have a very likely chance of losing the House. You've got all these Democrats who are privately saying that, but they won't then come to the public and say, okay, if we want to put the country first, if we want to stop Donald Trump, let's have an open conversation. There is something about maintaining your political power in the office you hold that is intoxicating and people can't walk away from it.
They have to wait for him to decide. Biden can't decide.
But they can call for it. They can tell him that they think he risks.
Plenty of people.
The thing is, it's not just the White House. It's the House, it's the Senate, and by extension, the Supreme Court.
It's really, I'm sorry. Everyone, don't forget, what we've suggested when things get moved around, and people said, no, this is the will of the people. This is who they chose, and this is who they want.
Now, Whoopi Goldberg and others in the Democratic establishment and the mainstream media want to bring this up all the time, that Biden was chosen by the will of the people. No, he wasn't. There wasn't a primary. And they do this every time there's an incumbent president, both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats. They don't have a primary. That person is just the anointed person. And there were states where anyone who would have attempted to run against Joe Biden was blocked from doing so. So this is nonsense, this idea that he was chosen by the will of the people. He was the guy that the Democratic Party put up there because he'd won previously. They could have had an open primary to see if maybe they would have gotten the best candidate they could have from among the Democrats. They never do that when there's an incumbent. This has been going on forever. And now the Democrats are stuck with Joe Biden, who is too old and is going to lose. So this idea of chosen by the will of the people is insane by Whoopi Goldberg. She's totally wrong about that.
Falling in line is what I hate about our politics in general, which is why I remain an independent. That's literally, I left after watching the convention last night. I went to bed thinking, I don't even know what we do anymore, because in 2016, the RNC was still pushing back on Donald Trump. He still had, there was room, there were old conservatives like Alyssa, there were people in there that remained. Now RNC is run by a Trump. The entire convention thus far has been a MAGA double down on you are either pledging loyalty or you're out of this party. So I don't even know where the Alyssas of the world go, because I don't think all of them will follow.
Come on over, Alyssa.
Now, this is a really great comment by Sarah Haynes here, that she says she's an independent. And I just think about how great it would be if we had a scenario in which people were voting for individual candidates based on their policies and their beliefs and what they say they're going to do for the American people and to help the country, rather than being on a team and voting based on the letter next to their name. That's one of the huge problems that we have in the country right now. And we have these party systems where everybody has to fall in line within those systems rather than doing what they think is right and best for the people. It would be so much better if we could break free of this. So she's right. If we could have a country full of independents, things would be so much better, in my opinion.
No, but the problem is like there's millions of Americans who have genuine deep policy differences with the Democratic Party. And listen, I think there are a good number who are going to say Donald Trump's a big enough risk and concern that they're going to this one time hold their nose. But where do they go going forward? Like we've been saying, like, guys, we care about border security. It took 3 years to care about it. Guys, we care about, bringing down inflation. It took so long to address
helping foreign allies. They've abandoned the globalism of this populist wing.
And by the way, if I may say, my most disappointing moment of Nikki Haley last night is she had an opportunity to say why America needs to stand with our allies on the world stage to counteract J.D. Vance, who said, I don't care about Ukraine, and David Sachs, who actually blamed NATO for Russia invading Ukraine, and she didn't do it. And I know that's something she actually deeply believes in, and it was a missed opportunity.
So you're done with that?
So as usual, Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and Sunny Hostin are going to toe the Democratic Party line. They're all in with the Democratic Party establishment. You have Alyssa Farah Griffin and Sarah Haynes that are somewhat more independent in their thinking and are saying we can't just fall in line with these party structures and have people who a month ago were saying candidate X is the worst person ever who's ever lived. But now they have their full endorsement. Both sides, Republicans and Democrats, they do this. You're going to have people when the Democratic convention happens here in a little bit who don't like Joe Biden, but they're going to be saying how great they think Joe Biden is at the, people who have run against him in tough campaigns, and they're going to pledge their undying love to Joe Biden. So this is just how it works. It's disgusting. It's one of the major reasons, in my opinion, that people hate politics and politicians. But Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, they're all in for Biden and the Democratic Party. So they're going to go along with all of this. But what do you think? Do you agree with Whoopi Goldberg? Do you agree with Joy Behar? Do you agree with Sunny Hostin? Or do you think they're completely wrong about this? Make sure to give me a like, a comment, a subscribe. It helps me to grow the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.